Good morning everybody and welcome again. In our last video we have discussed about sense of collective belonging, and that was the last topic of the chapter nationalism in India. So we already know two chapters we have to read in the first term in history. One is rise of nationalism in Europe and other is nationalism in India. So we already have completed the syllabus of first term of history. So now we will have a quick review of the chapters that we already have read earlier. But before that, one of the student asked me about 11-point program of 11-point demand of Mahatma Gandhi from Lord Irwin, and I have told that I will discuss about it in the next video. So we will discuss about that 11-point demand in this video, and after that we will begin revision of the first chapter, rise of nationalism in Europe. But before that, during the First World War we were supporting the British with the hope that after the war we will get incentive. The war comes to an end in 1919. Just after the war we got first incentive in form of Rowlatt Act. When we begin protest against Rowlatt Act, the second incentive we got in form of Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So after Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Gandhi ji started thinking for a broad-based national movement, and he was well aware that any such movement is not possible without unity among Hindu and Muslim, and that's why he decided to launch non-cooperation movement together with Khilafat movement. So in 1920, Mahatma Gandhi launched non-cooperation movement with Khilafat movement. But after the violent incident at Chauri Chaura in 1922, Mahatma Gandhi called off non-cooperation movement. After that, it was a period of political stagnation. So in 1928, Simon Commission was sent to India to suggest some constitutional measure to pacify the nationalist leader, but Simon Commission was vehemently boycotted. In 1929, in the annual session of Congress in Lahore, the resolution of total independence was passed. When the resolution of total independence was passed, it was not liked by the British, and that's why a humiliating law was passed by the British, the Salt Law. According to Salt Law, no Indian could make salt without the permission of the British, and British were never going to provide such permission. So it was humiliating law, not from economic perspective only, it was also humiliating from moral perspective. And that's why Mahatma Gandhi now again started thinking to launch a broad-based movement. And we already know that in the non-cooperation movement, in the programs of non-cooperation movement, it was that if severe repression will be there, then we will launch countrywide civil disobedience movement. The idea of civil disobedience movement was in Mahatma Gandhi before this. Although when Salt Law was passed, Mahatma Gandhi had written a detailed letter to Lord Irwin. This letter was in form of an ultimatum that if all this demand will not be fulfilled before 10th of March, in this letter he had described that he will inaugurate civil disobedience movement by breaking Salt Law. So about his program, he had written in detail that what he is going to do. So actually Lord Irwin or Britisher during that time thought that what will happen. That means they were not very much apprehensive from this act of Gandhi. So British were not very serious about this. Lord Irwin turned a deaf ear toward this demand. And even congressmen were not very supportive to Gandhiji. Actually, Gandhiji began this salt march. Only 78 follower was with him, and among those 78 followers, also most of them was his disciple from Sabarmati Ashram, not congressman. So on 31st January 1930, Gandhiji had written a detailed letter to Lord Irwin. In this letter, he had put 11 demands to Irwin. What were this demand? To reduce expenditure on army and civil services by 50%. Reduce expenditure on army and civil services by 50%. Introduce total prohibition on alcoholic drink, alcoholic beverage. Carry out reform in criminal investigation department. So criminal investigation department during that time were active in curbing the nationalist leader by hook or by crook. British had passed Arms Act. According to this Arms Act, Indians were not given license to keep arms. So it also was one of the demand that Indian also should be allowed to get license for firearms for self-protection. During boycott of Simon Commission, lot of nationalist leaders were imprisoned. So it also was one of the demand, release political prisoner. Accept postal reservation bill. Postal reservation bill was to reduce the price of postal stamps so as it could be utilized by poor. Also, Indian handicraft industry, British machine-made cheap goods had flooded the Indian market. So Indian manufacturer lost their local market. So that's why to discourage import, it was one of the demand to reduce rupee sterling exchange ratio. Introduce textile production. Large number of people were involved in textile industry in India, and their life was ruined due to British import. So some protective laws would be made by the British to protect the handicraft workers, weavers. Reduce land revenue by 50%. Reduce land revenue by 50%. And most important, abolish salt law and government salt monopoly. So you could anticipate here that this demand were made in such a way so as it could connect lot of people, large number of people. There was something for almost all category of people. Reduction of land revenue by 50%, try to allure the peasants, abolition of salt tax. So salt is being utilized by most of the people, and Gandhiji saw salt a very powerful symbol of defiance. So the objective of this demand was, Gandhiji also was aware that this demand is not going to be fulfilled, and he was well aware that he will have to inaugurate civil disobedience movement. So he was prepared, Congress also was prepared that they will have to launch civil disobedience movement because this demand is not going to be accepted by the British. And that's why in this demand Gandhiji pre-assumed that he will have to launch civil disobedience movement, and to gain support of most of the people, this demand was prepared. Now the first chapter we have read, Rise of Nationalism in Europe, and you begin this chapter with this image painting of Frederick Sorio that was painted in 1848. So we already have discussed in detail about this painting, so I don't think we need to repeat it once again. Even though if some doubt would have been in your mind about this painting, so you could ask about that in doubt class. So what you have to keep in your mind about this painting: 1848, Frederick Sorio, the dream of worldwide democratic and social republic. Angel gaze upon the scene that symbolize fraternity and divine benediction to what is happening on earth. People marching in a long train, people from all over the world are united. They could be identified from their national costume and national flag. In the foreground there is shattered remain. It indicates that absolutist institution had been shattered forever. Absolutist institution refer to monarchical form of government during that time that did not have any restraint over their power. The absolutists refer to monarchical form of government that did not have any restraint over their power. In one hand of Statue of Liberty there is Torch of Enlightenment. In the other hand there is Charter of Right to Men. Torch of Enlightenment indicate it will remove the cloud of ignorance. Charter of Right to Men, that means people should be provided extensive rights. So overall this was a dream of Frederick Sorio that people from all over the world are united. People from all over the world are united. They are governed by democratic government. They are governed by democratic government, and absolutist institution had been shattered forever. So whatever vision of Frederick Sorio was in this painting was hardly to be realized in real world, and that's why this painting is termed as utopian vision. So what do you mean by utopian vision? Why this painting is termed as utopian vision? What is symbolized by different thing that is being represented in this painting? So you begin this chapter with the description of the painting of Frederick Sorio, The Dream of Worldwide Democratic and Social Republic in 1848. Actually 4 series of painting was painted by him. This is first of that 4. So an abstract idea of nationalism, an abstract idea of sense of collective belonging among people belongs to all over the world is being visualized by Frederick Sorio, and that's why it indicates that this painting is related with the idea of nationalism. Now after that you discuss about modern state and nation state. One term is common in both modern state and nation state. To understand that, we also will have to discuss about pre-modern state. But first, what is a nation and what is a state? So what is a nation? We already read कि nation is large scale solidarity. एक चीज यहाँ पे बिल्कुल क्लियर कर लो कि nation is not related to geographical boundary. Nation is not in general sense. जब हम nation कहते हैं तो क्या आइडिया आता है कि कोई एक कंट्री, बट एक्चुअली nation have nothing to do with the geographical boundary. ये एलिमेंट किसका है? ये स्टेट का है, नेशन का नहीं. नेशन इज लार्ज स्केल सॉलिडरिटी. और ये जो लार्ज स्केल सॉलिडरिटी मतलब व्हेन पीपल ड्यू टू सम शेयरिंग बॉन्ड स्टार्टेड फीलिंग दैट दे बिलोंग्स टू सिमिलर कम्युनिटी. तो इस तरह का जो लार्ज एक कम्युनिटी बनेगा, उस लार्ज कम्युनिटी को हम नेशन कहेंगे, ना कि उस ज्योग्राफिकल रीजन को जिस ज्योग्राफिकल रीजन में वो रहते हैं. तो व्हाट इज अ नेशन? अ लार्ज बॉडी ऑफ पीपल. ये जो लार्ज बॉडी ऑफ पीपल है वो किसी न किसी एक शेयरिंग बॉन्ड के आधार पे यूनाइटेड हुए हैं. ये शेयरिंग बॉन्ड कुछ भी हो सकता है, वॉट एवर दिस. अगर ज्योग्राफिकल टेरिटरी के आधार पे people belong to different geographical territory, reside in a place, and that's why they feel that they belong to similar community. तो that feeling of similar community, ये जो large scale solidarity हुआ, large scale body of people हुआ, ये large body of people is a nation united by common descent हो सकता है उनका, मतलब जो भी tradition वो inherit किए वो common tradition है उनका. तो that's why they believed that they belong to similar community. They shared common history, might be they shared common history, might be they have common culture, might be they have common language, might be they reside in a particular territory together. तो कोई भी इसके अलावा भी कुछ भी फैक्टर हो सकते हैं जिसके आधार पे पीपल स्टार्टेड फीलिंग दैट दे बिलोंग टू सिमिलर कम्युनिटी. तो ये जो फीलिंग ऑफ सिमिलर कम्युनिटी के आधार पे लार्ज बॉडी ऑफ पीपल बनता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ नेशन. एंड स्टेट, तो सिंपली वी ऑलरेडी नो दैट अ रीजन हैविंग टेरिटरी, पॉपुलेशन, गवर्नमेंट एंड सॉवरेनिटी इज कॉल्ड स्टेट. स्टेट के 4 कंपोनेंट हैं. टेरिटरी होनी चाहिए, पॉपुलेशन होना चाहिए, गवर्नमेंट and sovereignty. Sovereignty means what? कि there should not be any kind of external influence into the internal matter. तो गवर्नमेंट, सॉवरेनिटी, टेरिटरी एंड पॉपुलेशन, ये 4 कंपोनेंट हैं, तो उसको हम स्टेट कहेंगे. तो नाउ व्हाट इज अ नेशन स्टेट? तो स्टेट तो समझ गए कि ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्री होगा, स्टेट के लिए जरूरी है. इसेंशियल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ स्टेट इज अ ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्री, बट this geographical boundary is not essential characteristic to be a nation. This geographical boundary is not essential characteristic to be a nation. So now we could understand what is nation, we could understand what is state. Now let's discuss. तो इस प्री मॉडर्न स्टेट के एलिमेंट्स क्या थे? What were the elements of this pre-modern state? So let's see. Political authority were not dominant during the pre-modern state. Political authority were not dominant. Religious authority as well as political authority both control the society. Religious authority as well as political authority both control the society. And even the views of common people also were essential. So that means there was a time period when a loose government was there. There was a time period when a loose structure of government was there. What is the power of the government? How they will rule or administer the people? So it was not in a concrete shape. How political authority or religious authority will govern over the people, इसका कोई concrete shape नहीं था. तो that is termed as pre-modern state. Territory था, population था, government भी थी, a loose kind of government, a loose government was there. लेकिन जिसका कोई एक concrete shape नहीं था कि who will administer. तो रिलीजियस अथॉरिटी के पास अपना पावर होता था, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव भी पावर होता था, जुडिशियल पावर भी होता था, और जो पॉलिटिकल अथॉरिटी होते थे दे आल्सो एंजॉय एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एंड जुडिशियल पावर. तो अ लूज काइंड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट वाज देयर ड्यूरिंग प्री मॉडर्न स्टेट. अब देखो ये लूज काइंड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट जो था, ये जब political authority started consolidating their position, when this political authority started consolidating their position, रिलीजियस अथॉरिटी के पावर फंक्शंस मिनिमाइज होते गए इन द गवर्नमेंट, इन द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, और ये जो पॉलिटिकल अथॉरिटीज का पावर था वो धीरे धीरे इनहेंस होता गया. एंड स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग मिडियावल पीरियड एंड इवन बिफोर दैट अ फ्यूडल काइंड ऑफ system was developed, a feudal kind of system was developed in which political authority gained the power to collect taxes, to collect revenue from the people. So actually this characteristic is of modern state. This characteristic where consolidation of power occurred upon political authority, and political authority become responsible to collect revenue from the people. So that means from pre-modern state it was conversion to modern state. So there are various features or characteristic of modern state. One most important characteristic and features we talk about. Okay, initially pre-modern state was there. It was a loose kind of administrative system, not very the power and functions of political authority, religious authority were not in a concrete shape, but gradually it began to take a rigid shape. So that means it was conversion from pre-modern state to modern state. And when people on the basis of some commonness, started feeling that they belong to similar community and were ready to unite themselves to forge a unified territory, then it convert from nation to nation state. हम में एक टुगेदरनेस है, फीलिंग ऑफ कलेक्टिव बिलोंगिंग है, हम में एक टुगेदरनेस है, फीलिंग ऑफ कलेक्टिव बिलोंगिंग है, दैट मीन्स हम एक नेशन है. लेकिन उस कलेक्टिव बिलोंगिंग के आधार पे वी केम टुगेदर टू फॉर्म अ यूनिफाइड टेरिटरी, देन दिस नेशन, nationalist feeling, nation will become a nation state. तो नेशन पहले और उसके बाद जब यूनिफाइड टेरिटरी हम बनाते हैं और ये यूनिफाइड टेरिटरी हम कॉमननेस के आधार पे बनाते हैं, तो इस यूनिफाइड टेरिटरी को हम नेशन स्टेट कहेंगे. तो इन सिंपल रीजन हैविंग टेरिटरी, पॉपुलेशन, गवर्नमेंट, सॉवरेनिटी, दैट इज अ स्टेट. And when a large body of people united by common decent history, culture or language inhabiting a particular country or territory is called nation. And when on the basis of this togetherness, commonness, this large body of people wanted to create a unified territory, then this unified territory is termed as nation state. तो देखो एक टर्म जैसे पढ़ते हो तुम लोग मल्टी डायनेस्टिक स्टेट, तो मल्टी डायनेस्टिक स्टेट, फिर पढ़ते हो मल्टी नेशनल स्टेट. मल्टी नेशनल स्टेट भी हो सकते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल हैब्सबर्ग ऑस्ट्रियो हंगरियन एम्पायर. अब देखो ऑस्ट्रिया का अपना अलग कल्चर, हंगरी का अपना अलग कल्चर, लेकिन बोथ ऑस्ट्रिया एंड हंगरी was ruled by the Habsburg Empire. Both Austria and Hungary was ruled by Habsburg Empire. तो ये जो Habsburg Empire है, इसमें दो डिफरेंट नेशनलिटीज हैं. This Habsburg Empire contained two different nationalities. One is Austria, other is Hungary. So it could be termed, this Austro-Hungarian Empire could be termed multinational empire. तो दैट मीन्स इससे नेशन क्या है ये समझ सकते हो कि एक नेशन ऑस्ट्रिया, एक नेशन, दोनों अलग अलग अपने आप को एक यूनिफाइड मान रहे हैं और दोनों पे एक एम्पायर का रूल है. तो ये दोनों नेशनलिटीज हैं. अब देखो भारत के भी बारे क्या कहा जाता था, इंडिया बिलोंग टू डिफरेंट नेशनलिटीज. दैट मीन्स देयर कल्चर, ज्योग्राफी, लैंग्वेज. तो ऑन दैट बेसिस दे वेयर कन्फाइंड टू अ पार्टिकुलर रीजन, तो दे फॉर्म अ नेशनलिटीज अदर. So that means there were several nationalities in the country, and also if all of them came together, they formed a large nationalities. Or modern state, so to write in the exam, a modern state is one where a centralized authority exercise sovereign control over a clearly defined territory that had been developing since long period of time is called a modern state. Now you could see here multinational state where no one ethnic group dominate. Different kind of ethnic group reside in one state, then it is called multinational state. Different ethnic group reside. तो देखो जब भी नेशन स्टेट होगा ना, तो नेशन स्टेट में कोई पार्टिकुलर एक एथनिटी डोमिनेंट होगी. नेशन स्टेट होगा तो पार्टिकुलर कोई एक एथनिसिटी डोमिनेंट होगी। इसके अपवाद हो सकते हैं, बट इट इज़ ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ नेशन स्टेट। तो मल्टीनेशनल स्टेट, अ सिटी स्टेट, तो प्री मॉडर्न स्टेट की बात करें उस वक्त क्या होता था, सिटी स्टेट होते थे, बहुत छोटे से रीजन और उस पर अपना एक सॉवरेन रूलर, तो दैट वाज टर्म एज सिटी स्टेट। एन एम्पायर जिसमें डिफरेंट नेशन हो और governed by a centralized power, that will be considered as an empire. So such kind of various term is being utilized for different kind of geographical boundaries. By the way, तो देखो, this chapter begins with the painting of Frederick Sordio. After that you read about modern state and nation state, and after that the proclamation by French revolutionary. So proclamation by the French revolutionary, कि French revolutionary proclaimed that henceforth the destiny of the nation will be decided by French people and not the ruler. Further they proclaimed their mission did not come to an end. Now their mission is to liberate people of Europe from despotism. So proclamation by the French revolutionary, and after that one image also is given. Almanac, एक पंचांग है जिसमें डेमोलिशन ऑफ डेमोलिशन ऑफ फोर्ट्रेस प्रिजन बैस्टिल को दिखाया गया है, और जर्मन प्रोविंस ऑफ कैजाल में इसी तरह का एक फोर्ट्रेस प्रिजन है। तो दैट मीन्स इट ऑल्सो सिम्बलाइज डेस्पोटिज्म, और इस एल्मनेक में इंस्पायरेशन ऑफ फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन इज बीइंग इंडिकेटेड। इंस्पायरेशन ऑफ फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन कि जिस तरह से फ्रांस में फोर्ट्रेस प्रिजन बैस्टिल को डैमोलिश किया गया डेस्पोटिक पावर को, उसी तरह से वी ऑल्सो नीड टू डैमोलिश डेस्पोटिक पावर। नाउ योर टॉपिक, नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज द फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन एंड द आइडिया ऑफ नेशन। तो यहाँ पे एक most important question of this chapter you are reading, measure taken by French revolutionary to generate sense of collective belonging. So this measure you have read in political sphere and economic sphere. So several point is there, some point you will write in economic sphere and some point in political sphere. What measures were taken by French revolutionary to generate sense of collective belonging? So one of the very important question of this chapter. So the idea of la patrie and les citoyens that emphasized the notion of a united community was spread. The idea of la patrie and les citoyens that emphasized the notion of united community was spread. New French flag tricolor was chosen to replace former royal standard. New hymns were composed, oaths were taken, martyrs were commemorated, all in the name of a nation. A unified centralized administrative system was introduced. Simplification of administrative division. Uniform currency was introduced. Uniform and standardized weight and measurement system was introduced. So in political sphere and in economic sphere, what measures were taken by French revolutionary? And after that your topic begins about Napoleon. So 4 questions you have to read related to Napoleon. One is Napoleonic Code, then administrative and economic reform brought by Napoleon, then why Napoleon and his army were considered harbingers of liberty, and after that why the initial enthusiasm of the people in favor of Napoleon fade away. So actually you could suggest that whether a quick review of the chapter is needed or you want detailed description of all the topic. Again, so let us inform in the doubt class whether you want detailed description of the topic, or otherwise also one option is there with you that you could suggest the topic that should be recap. So you could convey that in the doubt class. Okay, what do you think, what will be more suitable for you, detailed description of the chapter again or a quick review of the chapter? So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.